Hello, welcome to the latest Wind in the Willows review. This week it's Bricks and Mortar. So this of course is the February episode from Series 4, aka the Railway Problem series. I like it. I probably not one of my absolute favourites. I came to it quite late, this one. First time I saw it was during the Channel 5 repeats in the late 90s. There are some moments, I guess for me it's quite repetitive in some ways. We've seen episodes like this, the Weasels con-toad basically. But there are some wonderful moments in it, some great animation and plenty to talk about. So let's dive into it. Okay, so just pressing play right now. There we go. Okay, so Bricks and Mortar then. It reminds me a little bit of, if you remember Hall for Sale, which is actually a later one in Series 4. Also Bankruptcy from Series 2, where basically the Weasels dress up as either, or in this case builders, but railway solicitors of course in Hall for Sale, and stock brokers in Bankruptcy. So this one in that sense is repetitive, but I like the way it leads on from the previous episode, Old Lang Syne. Badger goes on at Toad about Toad Hall crumbling away, and it's through Toad's own neglect, he's not looking after his home. And then we have an episode all about that, where Badger kind of really tries to sort of make it clear to Toad he's got to do something about it, and Toad decides to, and he gets interest in it. But anyway, we'll talk about it as we go. I like this opening. We've still got a sense of snow there, and or frost at least. I love that shot there. You get the sense it's very cold. You see all the bare branches, and of course I've just finished reviewing the wintry, snowy episodes. So this one just feels perfect now, even though we haven't had any snow at all here in I think some parts of the UK have, but certainly not here in Essex. And then of course we go to the coziness of a fire, although it's not much of an effect there. You see the lighting effect slightly there. In Toad Hall. And so it's sort of a typical opening where we've got the four of them sort of discussing something in one of their homes. And you got so Badger's being even more authoritative than usual actually. So Badger's almost suggesting, come on then today. So Toad's going for a spin in the rolls, so pleasure of course comes first with Toad always. So you think of it's interesting, you get an idea of Toad's everyday activities. Spin for in the rolls today, and then going out to town to get fitted for suits the next day. I mean, the life of Toad, eh? Never get a sense that he works, or in fact any of them work, but that's part of the interesting thing about the Wind in the Willows, and class and all of that. We never get a sense that any of them are working. Although Badger hints in one episode that he's good at spending money, just not earning it. Toad, that is. Quotes from Winter Horns. Now Badger doesn't realise this mistake he's making here, and I love Toad's expressions. Mole often puts his foot in it, but in this time it's Badger. Talking about a famous ancestor of Toad's. But Toad, of course, anything to do with being famous goes to his head straight away. No matter what it is, he just wants to be famous. It resonates a little bit with today, to be honest, with reality TV. People just want to be famous today. Doesn't matter what it is, almost. Now, of course, that's an important shot there, that the Weasels are listening here. So he's got big ideas already about moving east and west wings and everything. Interesting shot of Ratty there, where he's like almost falling asleep, almost like he's heard everything before. But a nice shot of Mole there, where he's smiling as he's having Ratty, and a nice gentle smile. Not sure some of that animation works though, with Ratty falling asleep. But, yeah. Now we've got the usual sort of humour here with the weasels, henchmen getting the wrong end of the stick and not understanding. But it's interesting, these shots, the henchman's almost as tall looking as the chief. Usually got the teeth towering over him. So we already know the weasels are up to something. We kind of already got a hint of what that will be. I love Toad's outfit here, particularly his hat there. Art Nouveau. Very reminiscent of that. Now this is a fun scene. It's a little bit slow, but it's in keeping with Toad's kind of thought process. Measurer theme. And he's already making stupid mistakes, but I mean, even a bit too stupid for Toad in some ways. But it's all these kind of mannerisms that Toad has, all this realisation. And for me, it drags a little bit. And as a result, doesn't become the most eventful episode, but it's okay. I mean, this must have taken a while to shoot, and it's quite a nice walk with Toad. One of the few times we actually see Toad take a long walk like that. That makes me laugh. I've still got the novel. What an idiot. I do love that set though, and of course we see this set a lot in this series. Now there are a few behind the scenes photos I've managed to acquire that I'll put up in this episode when the relevant scenes come. I know somebody who actually visited Cosgrove Hall around the time they're obviously making this episode, and these are shots that he actually took himself. And you can see Monica McCartney animating, and it's not too later actually, it's a later scene towards the end of the episode, but I recognised them instantly when I saw them. Now Ratty's already being sarcastic, of course, being the developed Ratty that Brian Truman sort of turned him into. Now that's typical humour again, we have that a lot across the series. Toad starts saying one thing and then he realises he doesn't want the others to hear, and he wants to make out that it was his plan all along. Now that's nice, a little nod to a billiard room. The way Mole says you've already got a billiard room, of course that's a nod to Champion of the Green Bays, which is from Series 3. And you can already see what the plan is. I'm sorry, the problem is in that plan. That makes me laugh, that quite long. 12 feet wide. So this is again typical of the humour of Toad. So he's realised his mistake. That makes me laugh as well. I mean, Ratty has so many comebacks. I'd love to put together a book of just Ratty's sarcastic quotes and goes the other Toad. You could do that, couldn't you, with all Badger's quotes as well? You know, Badger's, you know, when you think of Badger's advice, or as my father used to say, and all that. A lot of great quotes that I often forget as well when I see episodes like this. I'm reminded of them. This is a nice scene. We don't often see the characters looking at Toad Hall from a distance, and because so much of this takes place indoors, it's refreshing. Obviously out for a walk, wrapped up warm for the cold weather, and it's a generic set. But then when you have a set like shot like that, you can see that's a miniature Toad Hall. They made several of them. Interesting how the camera comes out first and they prepare for this gentle camera move. But that model is, of course, a lot closer than it appears. False perspective, of course. Now, notice the icicles. I love that attention to detail. Another hint at the weather and how cold it is. So there we go, barge balls and stuff here. Notice how the henchman almost strikes the chief back where we wanted to. Didn't quite work that with the animation, but it's interesting that the henchman almost stands up for himself at times. But it did take it went downhill a little bit after Unlikely Allies, which I think there's another episode where the henchman stands up for himself more than in that one. And that's I love that shot as well. We don't often see the hall like quite that wide, and more's the pity because it's this beautiful set, and it's a shame we haven't got wider shots like that. But that one obviously was to establish, talking about building and kind of seeing the majority of the building, as it were. No, we already know what the Weasels are up to, so it's a little bit predictable, this one. And there aren't really any surprises, to be honest, on the way, I'm afraid, but it's okay. But you have great quotes like this. Plans that you have planned. David Chase, of course, did a brilliant job of being hesitant. And getting the timing of the pauses. Now this, interestingly, is one of the episodes that was never released on video. The only reason I can draw from that is perhaps they just considered it a little bit weaker than some of the others, and I certainly believe they're far stronger episodes in Series 4. This would be, personally, I think, one of the weakest, but it's okay. But that, along with several others, somebody kindly posted on one of these videos a list of the ones that weren't available on video, and they're absolutely right. There's several of them. Yeah. Okay. Great little comeback from the henchman there. Well, he says it as almost quite loudly, like Toad would have heard that. Now, Toad with the cricket bat there. It reminds me of a black and white still I've got that I managed to acquire from, must have been not Thames Television, but Pearson, who took over the rights after them back in the day, before Fremantle took over the rights. Or Pearson became Fremantle, I think. It's complicated, but I remember writing to them years back and saying how much I love it, and if they've got anything I could have, any promotional material, and they not only sent me the promotional brochure, but some beautiful black and white photos. Now, it's not the first time we see Toad Hall Bear, is it? Think back to Bankruptcy and so on. It does feel like a bit of a filler, this episode. It feels like, maybe Brian already had written Auld Lang Syne, referring to the total crumbling away, and decided to make an episode out of it, and it was just an obvious one to make, an easy one to write, I would have thought. The Weasels being involved as they are. Now this music you can hear in the background is a rare incidental. It's called Trick Cyclist. I do have it, but I always think of it as from Paper Chase. I remember it very clearly from Paper Chase, and also School Days. And in Series 4, they actually, I don't know if you noticed, but there's some fresh incidental music that was written from Series 4 onwards and never appeared before that. And of course, when they got to Series 5, they wrote completely new music.
But they're working. Or anyway, they're supposed to be working for you.
That's exactly what I'm getting at.
I'm sure they
Exactly what I'm getting at. So yeah, more wide shots of the hall, of course. Makes you realise how huge that set was. I mean, you think of the scale of the puppets, Toad and Ratty Mole about this size. This vast hall. You know, so marvellous for a TV series. And everyone who worked on it have said that, you know, never again have we seen such quality in a stop motion TV series. I love this cut here. Very good. Bit of Badger mumbling. Now, I love, interesting when I see Ratty with that stick. Now, it's obviously not a walking stick in terms of helping him walk. He hasn't got a limp or anything, but I guess it's more of a stick that you see hikers with. To kind of prod the foliage as they go, or there's a bit of rough ground, just a bit of extra support. But it's just odd seeing Ratty with it. You kind of expect Badger to have the stick, not Ratty. Now again, nice cut there, nice direction. Nice transition, you pick up one object and you go to another scene, you're putting a different object down. Now the Weasel's Den as well, we don't often see in quite this detail. The lighting's interesting as well, we can make out all the detail. We've almost got like a slight bluey, greeny tint on it. Almost like moonlight, but I think it's just went for cold colours. I don't think it's like twilight sort of time yet. It's sort of a bit of an odd line up a gum tree, and the animation's a bit shaky, but I don't want to criticise it too much. It is of course Monica McCartney. I worked with Monica many years back, or she came in and worked on Fifi and the Flower Tarts while I was on it. So it's nice to meet her. I remember talking to her about Wind in the Willows, and she does have fond memories, but she also, I remember she rolled her eyes. I think she was hinting that it went on quite long, you know, when you think she was on it from the beginning, pretty much. And here she is on series 4. And this is, of course, the scene where I have those behind the scenes shots. So hope you're enjoying those, as they're up on the screen. Gives you an idea of scale, doesn't it, when you see the edges of the set. And, yeah, I love seeing shots like that. I just wish there were more. Now, you think back to episodes, like really early episodes, like the kidnapping of Toad, Badger grabbing a stick or a cudgel like that. They've all got one each. Look. I think Ratty's just got his walking type stick thing, isn't he? So like they're threatening the Weasels, and it is just, yeah, nothing much has changed since then, really, in the case of this episode. Notice Badger rolled his eyes then. I think he was just sort of looking up like, oh, he's heard all this before. I love that line as well. These are all threats to those who fear you. It's very strong, isn't he, Badger? Very kind of, he's got that authority and that power over the Weasels. Very strong and important figure. And that's a nice transition, seeing Toad's items back where they should be. Nice little pull focus there. So really what's coming across here is that Badger, Ratty and Mole never let on that they saved Toad's things. You know, they're all brought back. And I think that's what I'm getting from it. And Toad's basically saying, oh, I just thought they weren't good enough. Either that or he knows they brought it back and he's kind of not... what I'm trying to say, he's not making out that he knows that they knew, or something like that anyway. Not with it today. Now, interestingly, this is a craze that goes to another craze, but the new craze isn't that different. In other episodes, it's more of a, or it can be something very different, or something much bigger than the last craze. Whereas in this case, it's just basically Art Nouveau. So Toad's gone from building, basic architecture, to a very specific Art Nouveau, so smaller in a sense. But if you look at that drawing there, design Toad's got from here, it looks pretty good. Lovely little illustration there. So yeah, not the strongest, you know, and every time I see it I just think that more and more, unfortunately. But you may disagree, you know, let me know. There are moments in it, and it's well shot, well directed. Just not the most interesting episode, but there we go. But that is the last Series 4 episode now of completed Series 4, and we only have 2 regular episode reviews left. I can't believe it. We are getting there. Very nearly there. You probably worked out what they are. Next week we're going for Buried Treasure. Now that I know is a favourite of many. Again, I have to admit, not one of my absolute favourites. I can see why people love it. But for a start, we don't have Toad in it, and I think Toad's so central to the series. And I love the humour in Wind in the Willows, and that one isn't particularly funny. But it's an early one though, it's from Series 1, right near the beginning. And I'm putting it next week because it doesn't. It's one of those where it doesn't seem to be at a particular time of year, and I tried to spread those out as much as I could. So Buried Treasure next week. Do join me for that, and let me know what you think of this one. I would love to hear any opinions on it. If you think it's one of your favourites, let me know why, or if you agree with me that I feel it's just not one of the strongest. But never mind. We've got Buried Treasure next week, and I'll leave you to work out what the final one is. See if you can. That personally is one of my favourites, the final one, and that's a lovely one to end on. But we do have, of course, 2 bonus ones as well. Toad Filmmaker at the end of this month, and then we'll finish off with the great special, A Tale of Two Toads, in March. So, yes, anyway, join me for Buried Treasure next week, and all the best, and see you soon.